А ну, чики-брики в дамке!
You know, one of the things that I accepted for a really long time about Stalker, at face value, is that people call it a survival horror.
Stalker Anomaly, my
Why
first look at
Stalker
the
is the
survival
best
horror
Stalker
game.
Gamma,
hardcore
free
survival
survival
game.
horror shooter FPS
terrifying
crafter
survival
FPS.
shooter.
The thing is that I don't really gravitate towards games that call themselves survival horror, and survival games are neat,
I never felt so cold in my life.
but I certainly don't care for horror games.
Is someone there?
When any game attempts a cheap jump scare, I just nope, out of there. And if the game is good enough, I eventually do come back, but it's been 3 months since I got Alan Wake 2, and I am still in this damn section.
Jesus, I swear if they do that one more time, I'm gonna uninstall this game.
But I am trying. However, when Stalker slams me with a jump scare,
It was just one of them things.
How come every time
Do a jump scare.
I'm called a fool and an idiot, but when you...
Do a jump scare.
Oh, it's just one of them things.
so it really got me to wonder, do I have a double standard, and maybe other games' survival horror should be celebrated, and I just tolerate it? Of course not. Stalker gives you way too much freedom and ammo for any smidge of survival horror to survive this horror. Stalker is and always will be a first-person shooter and immersive simulation first.
Helicopter, helicopter!
Then it involves horror and survival elements. GSC's famous A-Life comes first. The dangerous world is created, the life within it is simulated. You interact with it by shooting in the first person, at the first person you see. But you are very vulnerable until you get good. And even then, you are still vulnerable in this world full of uncertainty. You don't know if the things going on in front of you are scripted or part of the simulation. And from that, you get a lot of organic tension. And that tension and its eventual catharsis by either death or survival in different encounters, which again, you can never be certain are scripted or organic, that is what makes Stalker horrifying. And of course, the survival elements are in there as a way of amplifying that tension, and if you don't have tension, you don't have a party.
And I don't give a rat's ass who's working for who.
And what sets this apart from traditional survival horror games is that the horror is engineered every single time. Now, I'll give credit where it's due. Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, the best survival horror games are very good at engineering this tension. But it's a show. Behind each jump scare is a dickhead developer who wanted to scare you, luring your attention to a tiny object, isolating you with a tense atmosphere and using faint sounds to draw your attention. And then, I'm not gonna lie, when it gets me, I just find it annoying. And look, since I first started writing this video, I've grown more and more fond of Alan Wake 2. Its funneled game design is the right one for the experience that the developers intend for you in this game. Any horror. I'm aware that I'm mixing survival and horror as survival horror, which isn't really the way this works, which clearly illustrates the grievances I have with the term survival horror. But I will leave that one to the games journalists, unless I am an independent games journalist now, which maybe I am, maybe I'm not, I have no idea. The point is that the difference between Stalker and survival horror is that the latter funnels you into the horror. There's a necessary linearity to every encounter with the horror. But while in the zone, any fear you experience comes from being alone, your uncertainty, how prepared you are, curiosity and vulnerability in a world where you have absolute freedom, and so does everything else in it. Freedom that you don't get in survival horror games, because in survival horror games, the world controls you, but in Stalker, nobody's in control really. Everyone's trying to leverage control in their own way, and that's what creates the conflict and tension. And that tension allows for horror to flourish. So yeah, absolutely, in Stalker you will experience horror and survival. But never forget that Stalker is a first-person shooter and immersive simulation first. Any horror you experience or survival situations you find yourself in are a consequence of existing in this world in which no one is in control. The simulation comes before the survival and is responsible for creating the horror. We don't call The Long Dark a first-person shooter just because you do shooting in the first person. Rather, because we shoot the first person we see. Just kidding, that's murder. But that is a survival game first, and at its core, the mechanics revolve around the survival. The developers want you to experience the survival. And if you go to a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance, survival is a big part of it. But that's because survival was a big part of being some dude in Bohemia in the Middle Ages, in the same way that in Stalker, the survival elements like nutrition, medicine, radiation, equipment upkeep, the like, are all in service of the world being simulated and experienced. They themselves are not the experience. Which leads me to, why is this even a question? Anyone who has played the Stalker 1 trilogy knows that Stalker isn't a survival or horror or a survival horror game. Well, it goes back to the source of most people's misconceptions about Stalker.
Today we're going to be checking out Stalker Anomaly. I don't know much about Stalker. All those games are so dated. And without mods and stuff like that, they wouldn't be very interesting to play on stream. So we're just gonna start with this. I was told that this incorporates all three of the games, like Stalker, the original Shadows of Chernobyl, plus the other DLCs that I guess are other games that came out with it.
Because of the myth that has been propagated stating that Stalker Anomaly is a combination of the Stalker 1 trilogy, people skip the original games thinking that they're getting them in Anomaly.
Like, it's fan made. Don't get me wrong, it's not official lore, you know. But it made me, like, learning the story in Stalker Anomaly made me want to go back and play Shadow of Chernobyl.
And as a result, their first Stalker experience was a modded one, and in many cases, many players have yet to play the original 3 games. And don't get me wrong, modded Stalker is 100% the best way to play Stalker. And there are many mods that will faithfully modernize the experience a bit for a first playthrough. But imagine considering Skyrim a survival game because you completed your first playthrough with one of its survival mods, or maybe even categorizing Roblox as an arcade multiplayer first-person shooter because of that build that went viral a while ago. So yeah, the whole point of this video is play the original games already. You won't regret it. Cheers, guys.